So we had a bit of a problem Sunday. See, I recorded this episode Saturday, and I had the video recorded Saturday night, and I thought to myself I could set it to post itself Sunday at 3, but I decided not to. I decided to manually post it Sunday, and I went to bed because it was like 6 in the morning and I hadn't gone to bed yet. That was a mistake because somehow my fully charged phone, which I charged overnight and took it off sometime in the night, turned itself off. I picked it up, went to check the time. I tapped the power button. I didn't press it like you should to turn it on. And that one screen came on like it had been turned off. And it said it was like 3:30, so I was like, great. So I just missed out on everything. And I made references in that video to like time and stuff, so it wouldn't have worked. So, yeah. Basically, I said things like, I'm glad I'm doing this. I'm glad I went ahead and did this. Because I had a long night. A hard night. That's why I didn't record until 6 in the morning. And, I said, I'm glad to be doing this because I have Monday and Tuesday off YouTube, naturally, and yeah. So my phone turned itself off at some point in the night, or some point in the morning, I should say, and my alarm to wake me up at like 1 p.m., I have an alarm, it didn't go off at all. I have another alarm at 2, and a third alarm at 2:30. At 2:30, if I manually upload, that's when I start, because it gives me plenty of time, and I actually have a small margin for error. That's very small. So yeah, it was a hectic day Sunday, and right now, it's Sunday night, and so I'm recording this Sunday night for context, and I don't feel good. I feel really frustrated because there were so many obstacles in my day. I didn't do anything progressive. I was basically getting busy work done that was not productive, and I hate this day. I hate that this day happened at all. Not just the way it did, just at all. If it didn't happen, I would feel better about myself. I don't feel good about myself. So, welcome back to the old 62. This is episode 47, I believe. Today we're going to be talking about Baron Frankenstein. And I know there is a Frankenstein in the previous continuity, before Prime Earth. Grant Morrison, when he was running the Seven Soldiers, or I think it was something like that, something called like that. Anyways, he created the character of Frankenstein, his interpretation, and it was a really good character. It was like, imagine Frankenstein's monster, but intelligent, and then mix in some sort of like first-person shooter character, and that is Grant Morrison's Frankenstein's monster. So yeah, it was a really cool character. I might do a Let's Talk About on that character. I definitely want to use it in fan fiction, if someone would step up and help me write stories. So, I need someone to step up. I've been asking for years to have help with my stories. I've not gotten any help. The only reason I've not been published for years is I've not gotten any help. That's the only reason. I don't care what anyone says. Not that I've been told differently, but, well, actually, this one person tried to say, like, my problems don't exist and all this kind of stuff. And this other person was like, I see that you're struggling, but I want you to help yourself. Like, I've observed my problems for years. There is no, doing this by myself. I've reviewed my options, and it's just not, it's not a thing that can happen for valid reasons that I'm not going to get into because the intro is already 6 minutes. Okay. So I pulled up the character article already. I pulled up the article. And let's get into appearances first, as always. Baron Frankenstein first appeared in Detective Comics 135 in 1948. That was also his last appearance. And Related also says one appearance, so that lines up. It's not too often that it's actually, like, the same. It's always like, the character block says it has so many appearances, and the Related section says something different. So I'm glad that it doesn't this time. Okay, so now we move on to history. Baron Frankenstein was a scientist from Central Europe. He lived in a castle with his giant servant, Ivan. And, yeah, Ivan was, like, taller than the average person. I just want to pull up a picture of Ivan for you guys. And thankfully, there was a title character in this picture, because there's not a title character mentioned anywhere in the article. So, thankfully we have this picture. Let me just turn brightness down, because I know you won't be able to see it at this rate. So, and there's Batman. So, yeah, I can put Batman in the metadata now, and that'll be nice for my video. But yeah, Ivan is big. I love how that just ruined the lighting in the room. So, anyways, during one of his experiments, Ivan was knocked unconscious and had to be revived with adrenaline. The chemical caused Ivan to become mindless, and Frankenstein's cousin, Count Mettern, I don't know how else to pronounce that. I had problems with it in the... I had problems with it Saturday when I tried to record this video. But I've decided it's probably Mettern. Baron Frankenstein's cousin, Count Mettern, tried to use Ivan to kill the Baron. After Ivan failed to kill him, Frankenstein learned that it was his cousin who tried to murder him by manipulating Ivan. When Ivan recovered his mind, he dragged Mettern into the Baron's laboratory and created an explosion that destroyed Frankenstein's castle, killing Ivan and Mettern. And then it goes on to explain how a DC character that represents Mary Shelley heard the story and then went on to create her novel. But if you click on the link for that character of Mary Shelley, it takes you to Mary Shelley's actual Wikipedia page. So it does the same thing on Ivan's article. So there was a DC's Mary Shelley, but I'm guessing it was just like one panel. She only existed in one panel, or maybe one square in one panel. Because the panel's like a whole page, isn't it? Yeah. So I went to Ivan's wiki, and I looked at all the differences. I tried to find any differences, and there were only really two differences, and that's that one, he didn't just try to attack Baron Frankenstein, he basically went on a rampage throughout the whole town, and the other is the Batman in his picture. So I think that was everything. All the differences, all the things that made this article different from Baron Frankenstein's article, mostly they say the same thing, which is kind of common for older characters that share the same exposure. If they had like exactly the same amount of exposure and they were like in each other's story, older comics usually would make articles like this and they would be exactly the same. Or one of them would be completely filled out, and the other guy wouldn't have history in their article, so yeah. That's not good, but it happens. I'm just gonna read over Ivan's article and see if it is, like, if I didn't miss something. There was probably, like, one more difference between the two articles, so I'm gonna see. So, bear with me. Okay, so that was pretty much it. That was all the real differences there were. So the picture I'm going to use, I'm pretty sure that the guy in the middle is Baron Frankenstein. The guy to the left, I think, is Count Mettern, because he looks like a count. And I have no idea who the guy to the right is. Maybe Alfred, because apparently Batman was in this story, but I don't know how, because they don't say anything about Batman in the article, so that's confusing in itself. I don't know. But yeah, I think if they brought back Baron Frankenstein, they would have to bring back Ivan. And I think Ivan is an interesting character in himself. Something that would be really interesting is if Ivan met with Grant Morrison's Frankenstein, and they had some sort of adventure together. That would have been great. But since New Earth is no more and we have Prime Earth, I don't know if Frankenstein is still a thing in comics. And this tab is not closing. There it goes. So I don't really have anything else for you guys. I could do filler content, but we've already passed 10 minutes. So, who are we talking about tomorrow? Because it's always good to ask. Not so you know, but so you can expect. Sort of. And it's gonna be a good one. I enjoyed reading the article the first go around, but that was a year or more ago, and so now I'll get to look at it with fresh eyes because I've pretty much forgotten the whole article. So, in the 90s Justice League cartoon, if you remember a minor villain known as the Key, we're going to be looking at a very similar character and someone who probably inspired him. So, yeah, it's going to be great, and I'm looking forward to it, and I'll see you then. Peace. Really sorry about Sunday.